Alright folks, welcome to part 3 of my rebuke of Ged Skeptic's ridiculous claim that King Edward Longshanks was the legit heir to the Scottish throne, more so than King Robert the Bruce. And in case you're wondering what I'm talking about, I've linked it below, and be sure to check out parts 1 and 2. And for those who are wondering how many parts this is going to go, who knows? As many as I need to get the point across, I suppose. But once again, we're returning to William Wallace, Robin Hood Revealed, and we're going to be reading a passage from pages 277 to 278 in this book. I'll link also where you can get this book below on Amazon. I must warn you though, it is rather expensive. But anyway, so the title of this part of the book is Edward's Destruction of Scottish Records. And right by the title, if King Edward had a legitimate claim on the Scottish throne, why would he need to destroy records? I made this point all the way back in part 1, but it's true. You know, I mean, I take pride in supporting the points that I make. You know, I didn't just say that offhandedly in part 1. I knew, even when I said it then, that I'd be revisiting this topic. Sorry about that, I was interrupted there. Maybe you heard the phone in the background, but yeah, like I was saying, I knew all the way back then that I was going to be returning to this passage in this book. So let's just get into it. Numerous English historians have accused Wallace of persecuting priests. This is untrue! ! That stuff is the legacy of anti-Wallace propaganda that emerged from within the Lanarkast chronicles. He warned English clerics to return to England or suffer harsh consequences. Wallace acknowledged that besides destroying some important ancient Scottish chronicles, they had placed insertions in others in an attempt to distort Scottish history, in order to bolster Edward's false claim of overlordship of Scotland. Edward was not averse to using the church to achieve his ambition of subjugating Scotland. The minstrel tells us of how Edward removed many of the professors of the Scottish universities, and his reason for taking this action. One of the professors was the famous Franciscan John Duns Scotus, who was born in the same year as Wallace, and was reputed to be one of the most brilliant philosophers/theologians living in Europe at this time. Edward was intent upon destroying over time Scottish awareness of a distinct national identity. And from what you read in this passage, it looks very much that way. I mean, Wallace is kicking them out. He's going to these English clerics and saying, "Get ye hence, go back to England, otherwise, you know, you will not be safe here. You may be put on trial and prosecuted, or just flat out executed," though I doubt that Wallace would be that barbaric. I mean, he's not what you see in Braveheart, folks. You know, Wallace would have put them on trial, because that way it would have been known to the populace what they were up to. He wouldn't have just flat out, you know, killed them. He would have exposed them first, what they were up to. You know, and the fact that, you know, the English are going to these lengths to put their propaganda and their version of events into the Scottish records proves absolutely beyond a doubt that the English monarchs had no claim over the Scottish throne, and it didn't matter whether they were Norman or not. Like Edward Plantagenet was Norman, Ged pointed out, but that doesn't matter. He's the King of England at the end of the day. So the English had no claim over the Scottish throne. They never have, they never will. Anyway, evidence of this is found in the writings of an English historian who confirmed Edward's agenda of destroying all public records in Scotland. Quote, so this is from an English source. King Eugene VII, about the beginning of the 8th century, is said to have ordered the depositing of all records and books relating to the history of Scotland at Icolmkill, where he caused their old library, much neglected and decayed, to be pulled down and rebuilt in a very splendid manner, for this sole use and purpose. How long they continued there, and how long that excellent king's design was answered, I know not. But it is now too sad a truth that most of these venerable remains of antiquity are quite perished, and it generally agreed that they were destroyed on 3 remarkable occasions. The first of these was when our King Edward, remember this is an English source, first having claimed the sovereignty of Scotland, made a most miserable havoc of the historical laws of that kingdom, hoping in a short time nothing should be found in all that country but what carried an English name and face. To this end he forbade, on severe penalties, the keeping of any such books or records, and proceeded so far as even to abolish the name of Claudius Caesar in his famous round temple, which he ordered to be called Arthur's Hof, pulling away the stone which preserved the name of that great emperor and his conquests. That a great deal of this story is true appears from the scarcity of Scotch records in our state archives in England. Among the foreign treaties in the Exchequer, there are about 70 original instruments bagged up and subscribed Scotia ante Unionum, and in the Tower about 100 rolls relating to the affairs of that kingdom under the title of Scotia. The former of these begin at the reign of Edward I and end with that of Queen Elizabeth, and the latter commences as before, but falls no lower than the reign of Edward IV, the rest being to be looked for in the Chapel of the Rolls. So these records, at least at one time, did exist. But these are all the produce of our own country, instead of enriching us with the spoils of our neighbours, seem rather to prove that King Edward had an equal spite at the ancient records of both kingdoms. So little is there of apology to be made for so notorious a destroyer of the public registers, together with the private monuments, evidences, and conveyances of lands! I do not doubt but the reason of such barbarity has been justly enough assigned by those who represent him as having a jealous eye, this is in quotes, having a jealous eye over anything that might encourage his new vassals to rebel, endeavouring to root out all memorials of the nobility, and to embase their spirits, by concealing from them their descent and qualities. Game, set, match. Ged, you do not have a leg to stand on with this claim. You're talking nonsense, mate. Before you make assertions like this, you're saying that you did research. What research did you do? Did you read this book? Give up the fags and the booze for a month, save up a little money, go onto Amazon.com and buy this book before you make such ridiculous statements in the future, because you made a complete fool of yourself. Know what you're talking about the next time before you open your mouth. Just a piece of friendly advice.